on the go a lot. There's no doubt that the energy level increased. And again, your product is very, very good. I couldn't live without it, to tell you the truth. I thank you for your time. Thank you for the information. And when you talk to Dr. Howard, give him my best and tell him he's got a great, great product.
Don't wait to see what getting over 10 servings of whole fruits and vegetables every day can do for you. Right now, Balance of Nature is offering free shipping and 35% off on any new preferred order. Start your journey to better health today by calling 1-800-2468-751 or by going to balanceofnature.com. Again, that's balanceofnature.com. And make sure to receive this special radio offer by using discount code USA.
Some people battling COVID-19 are suffering from another kind of outbreak. USA Radio Network's Chris Barnes has the details.
Mask acne, or maskne as it's being called in social media posts, is for real, and healthcare workers are most at risk for it, as they're wearing their masks the most, for hours at a time sometimes. The blemishes are caused by the rubbing of the mask and the trapping of hot moisture underneath it, dilating facial pores and letting bacteria and oil clog the pores. Dermatologists recommend washing your face before and after wearing a mask and using a gentle moisturizer that helps strengthen the skin barrier.
Georgia and West Virginia are set to hold primaries on Tuesday after having postponed them due to COVID-19. Around 1.5 million voters requested absentee ballots in Georgia, and nearly 200,000 absentee ballots have been sent out in West Virginia. You're listening to USA Radio News.
Working from home? I'm Chad Dodd, veterinarian and consultant to Limp Bells. Here are some tips for keeping your dog fit while staying at home. Find 15 minutes twice a day and walk your pet at a decent pace around your place. Play hide and seek by hiding some kibble or favorite toys and letting your dog find them. If you have stairs and your dog is mobile, walk up and down twice a day for 5 to 10 minutes. Or better yet, try a power walk on your terrace or backyard for some fresh air. There are more helpful pet care tips at youmove.com, spelled YOUMOVE.com.
White House trade advisor Peter Navarro says the United States is ready if a second wave of coronavirus were to hit the country.
The first wave that came, and it came from China, inflicted on us, this country was not aware of that kind of thing. Now we've sprung up factories all over the place. The Puritan plant, Honeywell's got 2 N95 factories going in Rhode Island and Arizona. President Trump has become the export ventilator king because of efforts of GM and Ford to produce ventilators. So point is, we'll be a lot better prepared if a second wave comes.
Texas Republican Governor Greg Abbott believes training is key for law enforcement.
We need better training before a police officer goes out on his first patrol, and we need to make sure that training is done repeatedly to make sure that they incorporate the appropriate training to make sure that what happened in Minneapolis never happens in the state of Texas.
Abbott talking to reporters in Houston. He's attending the public viewing for George Floyd, the man who was killed by Minnesota police on Memorial Day. Governor Abbott also visiting with Floyd's family. Floyd is set to be buried on Tuesday. For more news, you can find us online at usaradio.com or check us out on Facebook at USA Radio. For USA Radio News, I'm Tim Berg.
The following is an America Matters Media production. The views expressed do not necessarily represent those of the station or its advertisers, although we think they should. But that's the opinion of America Matters Media.
Welcome to this evening's episode of Rush Hour. I am your host, Kelly Rush, and we are a production of America Matters Media, the home of quality conversation. You can check us out on the web at americamatters.us. That's americamatters.us. We're also on Facebook at facebook.com/Reno Rush Hour. And you can check me out on Facebook. That's also my Twitter. That's also my Twitter handle. So you can follow me there, like me on Facebook. And this is an interactive program, so you can call us toll free from anywhere in the world. 844-790-TALK. That's 844-790-8255. You can also text us 775-237-2266 or drop us a line in the Facebook comments Watch Party comments box. I'll get this right one of these days. We are a multimedia blowout. This is incredible. We're all over the video. We're on the Facebook video. We're on the YouTube video. So check us out. And I've got a special guest today. We've got Lance White running for Family Court Department 11 for judge.
Hi, Kelly. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being on. And the primary is tomorrow. So everybody needs to go out and cast their vote. You can do it in person. That is on 9th Street.
It is. It's in front of the county, or it's at the county registrar.
The county registrar, right on 9th Street there. And you can also do it by mail. Get that in. Go get it to the post office today. Run out there right now and do it. If you are so inclined to do so by mail. I am not. I'm going to go do it in person. And so get your votes in. It's very important.
I'd almost forgotten it was tomorrow. I'd forgotten all about that. Gosh. No, it'll be nice when it's here. I did not, no.
But yeah, Family Court Judge, Department 11. It's very important. So tell me why you are running, and more importantly, why you're qualified. You are uniquely qualified.
I like to think that I am, but I know that everybody that runs says they're uniquely qualified.
Oh, that's bull. That's that's bull.
I appreciate that.
You are very uniquely qualified in a number of ways, both personally and by experience, by a unique experience. And tell the listeners why.
Thank you. Well, I've had the experience of being in the legal system, the family legal system, as a child, short-term foster care, then as an adult, then as a lawyer, then as a judicial officer. I was a court master for 7 years. Then again as a lawyer owning my own practice. And so I remember what it was like to deal with a court at all those levels and dealing with somebody in a big scary black robe that could absolutely change your life for the worse or the better. And it's a terrifying experience, and I don't think lawyers appreciate it until they've had a chance to go through it.
And I don't think a lot of them do. On a personal level like that.
Well, running for judge tends to attract a special or a certain type of person. I am not begrudging someone that's had a lot of success, whether academically or family or personal, but someone that's had the opportunity to have full support of family, and they've done well, they haven't had a lot of hiccups. It's pretty much a position that grooms the ones that haven't had a lot of mistakes in their life.
Right. And a lot of you got to say, I'm going to just put it out there. A lot of lawyers hadn't.
No,
a lot of successful. No. A lot of let's just put it out there. A lot of lawyers are very successful from the get-go. They come from successful families. They're groomed to be successful. They are put in successful schools. A lot of them are put through the system from successful friends and family. They're surrounded by people who are successful. It's just the way it is, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No,
not a darn thing. I mean, good on them.
And I don't begrudge anybody for having that opportunity.
My gosh, no. I mean, life is a wonderful thing, and if you have that in your life, my gosh. Wow. That is so amazing, and that is so good for you, and that is so good for those around you and your peers and friends, and that is wow.
I'm hoping to provide that for my sons.
Yes.
It's certainly, my experience is not an experience that I would want people to go through.
No, but terrific that you are able to have had that and learn from it and grow from it so that you can help people not experience it.
Yes.
That's why you went through it.
Mm-hmm. At this point, looking back, that is why. But at the time, when you're a child, you don't really appreciate how wrong your life might be. When you're a child, you think this is how it is.
It's just how it is.
And it's only looking back and hearing stories and you realize, oh my gosh, there was something that wasn't right. I found out this was maybe 15 years ago, is I finally realized that the power company doesn't have off days as part of its normal schedule in Montana in the middle of winter. A couple times my mom had told me, oh, it looks like the electric company is having their test today, so we've got to put all the blankets in the living room and get really warm. This is the middle of winter. And I'm 6 years old after my grandmother died and went back to live with my mother. I thought, oh, okay, this is fun. And then looking back, you realize, wait a second. And there are a lot of stories like that that you don't process till you're an adult.
Sure.
But it's difficult for kids because they have a tough time understanding what's going on.
Absolutely.
So I don't think I've ever shared the blanket story before.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I don't know why I thought of that right then.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate that so much. You have no idea.
You're welcome.
Because I have those things. I mean, not from, but in my experience as, going through my own life by myself and as a single person, and, I had things like that I had to do for, I was so privileged in my own life, growing up. I was very fortunate and didn't have to go through things like that. And we've got to go to a break. We'll be back for the second segment of today's Rush Hour with Kelly Rush and Lance White. We'll be right back, and we'll have more stories and more experiences. Stay with us.
Rich is just a really good guy. The term good egg isn't enough to describe him. He's also certified organic and free range. Rich puts the cap back on everything. The toothpaste, the olive oil, the shampoo, everything. He lets his 10-year-old nephew beat him at virtual tennis, even though he can straight up slay his 10-year-old nephew in virtual tennis. When the toilet paper is running low, Rich replaces the roll on the actual holder, not just on the back of the toilet. Rich is texting and driving. Rich, no. What are you doing, Rich? I was just telling everyone how great you are. Texting and driving makes good people look bad. Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
As an 18-year-old, I let my mistakes kind of take over my life. I was 0.5 credits away from completing high school, and I didn't do it.
10 years later, at age 28, Jackie finished her high school diploma.
When I found out that I was pregnant, I know that I had to do something for myself if I wanted to make her a better person and provide a better life for her. My family never stopped pushing for me to be better because they knew what I could become and who I could become as a person. My support team is amazing. The educational director, my sister, and even my 7-year-old daughter has just been more than the support that I could ask for. I've been given an opportunity, and I'm just thankful for it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
This is America Matters Media on AM 1180 KCKQ, a Lotus broadcast station. The power of radio since 1967.
Unable to listen to the whole show? A recording of today's program will be available later today. Visit americamatters.us and click on the podcast link. Now, back to the show.
And welcome back to the second segment of today's Rush Hour. I am your host, Kelly Rush, and I am here with candidate for District Family Court Department 11, Lance White. And I am so excited to have you here with me because I think you are a terrific candidate. Your experience is so extensive, and you are currently a family law attorney.
I am. I own my own firm, Whittison White.
And that, in and of itself, right there, puts you head and shoulders above many candidates for such a position. And also talk about your experience as for 7 years, you were the
It's okay. A lot of people don't really recognize it as anything other than a judge, but it's actually a court master.
Court master. And explain that.
Well, you give recommendations that go to the district court judge, and they approve them or not. And typically, they go through. Typically, your findings are approved. But to a litigant, you're the judge for the case. And so I started out in child support for about 4 years, and then I moved over to the domestic violence realm. And in between, I did things like juvenile guardianships and a little bit of custody and divorce, early case management conferences. I really enjoyed settling those.
I bet.
Because you get people in early enough, you settle pretty easily compared to if you let them stew. And that's a problem with, I think, this family court in particular, and family courts probably all over, is that there's not enough, or there's too much wait time between when you first file for something and before you get before somebody with a rope. Because then it's just sort of frontier law for about 3 months, unless you have an attorney. Oh, and then if you have an attorney, both sides have an attorney, then you get to do motion practice back and forth, and you can move your case. But if you don't have an attorney, you're 3 months on your own. And that's 3 months too long for a lot of people that are in crisis in family court. So.
Yeah, a lot, I think, can go on behind the scenes, and a lot of animosity, and a lot of wrangling and wrangling, between each other, where things go south, where things could have been resolved, amicably, without going down the rabbit hole.
Because you're talking about two people that at one point had some affection for each other, correct? Well, even if it was an evening, they've had affection, so you can tap into that at some point. You can probably get the thing settled, but the longer you wait, the worse it gets.
Yeah, and so what made you want to be a lawyer? Your experience?
I am going to tell you all the stories that I haven't shared with very many people. Growing up, after my grandmother died, I went to live with my mom in this little tiny trailer. We had exactly 2 books and a TV. The 2 books were National Geographic Animal Thing. It had an eagle in the front. And the other book was the Reader's Digest, You and the Law. And I love to read, so I read both, but I was really drawn to the law book. And so I used to tell her guests about the statutory age for marriage in the states and where you can wiretap and all these charts and whatnot that were in the Reader's Digest book. And I just thought that was interesting that the rules for life were in there. Apparently there wasn't a Bible, so I had to go to the Reader's Digest Law on You. But
good. I think it was probably a pretty good source there. And so just tell me kind of about yourself and your experience in the courts, and just what you've seen, and how that has shaped you and your decision-making processes and thought processes. Because you really strike me as being extraordinarily fair and
thank you.
And just very level-headed.
Oh, I'm unflappable in court. In fact,
I feel that. I really feel that.
It is hard to get my goat because at the end of the day, these people that are in crisis have the opportunity to talk about it in front of someone that will help them. That's a fantastic idea. Otherwise, it'd be out, like I said, frontier justice if they didn't have someone to come before. And I think the biggest lesson I learned, probably my second year being court master, was that being a good teacher makes you a good judge. And that means explaining difficult concepts.
Yes.
The law and family law isn't particularly complex. The facts are, and the facts change with every case. But as a judicial officer, and frankly as a good lawyer, you're able to take difficult concepts and explain them to people. And a big part of being a judge is doing that, because you can speak legalese and bang your gavel, and they have to follow it even if they don't understand it. So I took a lot of time doing that. And frankly, my first year, that's when the first year of the judicial ratings came out by the bar. And because I was explaining everything so simply, I think that members of the bar thought that I wasn't necessarily that sharp, because I put it in layman's terms all the time. A lot of judges love to like throw out NRS 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the case of, well, who are you trying to impress with that? You know these lawyers, you're going to see them 8,000 times. These people in front of you, they don't give a darn about, Smith versus Smith. Explain the law to them, all right? Don't rest on your legal laurels. Right. And so I took a lot of time doing that. And that's really important to me, because when people leave, they need to understand what the heck is going on, what's expected of them. And if they do understand, well, guess what? They follow the orders better. And that includes the winner. Whoever wins, or nobody really wins the family court, but whoever prevails, explain why. And that's really important. Being a good teacher is part of being a good judge, I think.
I think that's a really good point. Because the judge isn't there to perform for the lawyers, and the lawyers aren't there to perform for the judge. I mean, you are there for the client.
Right.
And ultimately, they're the ones who have to go forward out into society and be citizens. And if they're screwed up, guess what? Society is screwed up, and we have enough of that, don't you think?
Yes.
And so, yeah, I think that's a really, really salient point.
Also, lawyers, here's the thing about lawyers, is they will craft their argument to the judge, and they will understand what a certain judge looks for, and they will be pleasant, and they will laugh at awful jokes. But at the end of the day, they recognize when a judge is capitulating to make them happy. They're not stupid. They're very sharp. They won't let the judge know that. And after enough time on the bench, you start to think, oh, maybe I am that smart. Maybe I am that clever. Maybe I'm that smart. Well, you're not. All right, your job is not to be the smartest person in the room. Your job is to be the person that applies a lot of the facts, period. And litigants pick up on judges that favor certain lawyers over others. They tell you, and they'll say, oh, I think that judge likes this lawyer. And you don't want to gossip, and you don't want to stir it up, but inside you think, yeah, exactly. You're right. You're exactly right. And you shouldn't have that. That shouldn't be something that comes into a litigant's mind. Did that judge like that lawyer? Are they talking about going to lunch?
Right.
You can't email each other. You can't save this until after the hearing. You got to mention it while a litigant on the other side is there. That happens all the time. All the time.
You're right.
It's a casualness that I think has gone too far, and that needs to be curtailed completely.
That's a really good point. This isn't, court TV or Judge Duty, and you're right. It comes off like that, often.
And so it doesn't look professional. You'll have a judge that looks super stoic. I am not the most stoic appearing individual. I think it's fake from a lot of people when they get up there and have to stroke their chin and look like Mount Rushmore. No, you don't. Listen, you don't have to be stoic. But then they're stoic up there for 2 hours in a hearing, and then as soon as the hearing's over, while both parties are there, they start to talk about going to lunch or we should get together. I mean, you're unprofessional right then. But I think it's natural. You get familiar with judges and lawyers.
Sure. I mean, they work together day in and day out.
Exactly.
This is, but you can save it after everybody, files out or go behind, in the room or whatever.
And I don't think they're being biased towards that lawyer, but the perception is, and that's huge.
Right. That's a really good point. And then, that's a good point. True. Because, but people watch these shows and they see this interaction, and they kind of expect that there's this familiarity there, and
Sure.
A little of it is fine. You want them, you want to know that the judges and the lawyers are friendly and that they know each other,
Right.
and that there's some, that there's some camaraderie there. You don't want this bit, but you don't also want to know that one is favoring the other, or
Right.
keep it.
And I think running for office, a judge running for office, or someone wanting to be a judge running for office, causes a lot of, raises a lot of questions as far as what is reasonable contact with the bar. It's difficult, I think, for anybody not to want to solicit support when they run for office. And that's typically from lawyers who are in the know. They tell people they have money to donate, but it's always something you have to be on guard for anyway. And I think in a state that votes for judges, I think is especially so. Yeah. So that's my soapbox moment today. I will step off now. And
No, those it's important. Those are important points, and it's stuff that people aren't necessarily aware of that they should be. So, no, good points. We've got to go to a break. We'll be back for the second half of today's Rush Hour. Kelly Rush and Lance White running for
Family Court
Family
Judge,
Court.
Department 11.
Ta-da.
As humans, we ask ourselves all kinds of questions. But what if we were forced to ask ourselves a question every day that affected the outcome of the most basic things, the most important things in our lives? The question is, what is your sexual orientation or gender identity? And the answer is the difference between keeping your job or getting fired. The answer is the difference between staying in your home or getting evicted. The answer is the difference between receiving medical treatment or not. Because in 31 states, it's legal to discriminate against people based on their answer to this question. LGBT Americans have the right to say I do, but they don't have the same basic rights as everyone else. Get the facts at beyondido.org. Brought to you by the Gill Foundation and the Ad Council.
Hey, Dr. Phil here. I help people solve difficult and trying personal problems every day on my TV show, but there's one problem that's just got me stumped: childhood hunger. Nearly 16 million children in America struggle with it. That's 1 in 5 kids who may not know where their next meal is coming from, despite the fact that there's more than enough healthy, nutritious food out there to feed them all. Now, I don't know about you, but that is unacceptable to me. Luckily, the Feeding America network of good people is out there collecting surplus food and giving hope to hungry children and their families at local food banks all across the country. But let's face it, they can't do it without your help. Join me in supporting Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is America Matters Media on AM 1180 KCKQ, a Lotus broadcast station. The power of radio since 1967.
To join the conversation, call 844-790-TALK. That's 844-790-8255. Now back to the show.
And welcome back to the second half of today's Rush Hour. I am your host, Kelly Rush, and I'm here with Lance White for Family Court Judge District 11. And as I said at the top of the show, this is an interactive program, so give us a call, toll free from anywhere on the planet. We will pick up the tab. Toll free 844-790-TALK. That's 844-790-8255. Or you can text us 775-237-2266. And I have been remiss. I haven't gotten the watch party started yet, so there's no comments box. Let me just throw this up here real quick. Hold on just a second. Let me just put it out there. Okay. Come on. Okay, there it is. Got it going. So, we were just kind of talking about the casualization of, sort of the court system because of basically Hollywood. We've kind of looked behind the curtain, and
right.
So it's not casual at all. It really isn't, but it seems like it is, just because we can see what it looks like behind the scenes now with cameras. And hey, Rick Cornell, how are you? Because we put cameras in the courts now, and people like Judge Judy, really, she's the one that got it started.
Right.
And she yelled and screamed at people and stuck her finger in people's faces, and it's not as formal and parliamentary and staid and stoic as it used to be. And there's nothing wrong with that per se, but it has made it seem like things are looser than they really are. However, the law is not. The law is the law is the law is the law is the law. And good luck, Lance. Rick Cornell says good luck.
Thank you, Rick.
And the law is as formal as it ever is, and it is written as it is written, and it will be handed down as it is handed down. There's no skirting around it. As it is written in,
but
the way it is.
I think litigants expect something different.
They do, and that's
really
the
do.
problem.
Right.
Because behavior is behavior, emotion is emotion, and people are people.
Mm-hmm.
So, when people go into court, they expect to be able to squirm around and be cutesy, and, girls will blink their eyes at the judge or whatever, or guys will think that they're going to puff out their chest and whatever, and think that they can do whatever. And not going to happen.
And I think they're quickly disabused of that in court. In fact, a well-run hearing is really boring to watch. There's no excitement.
Really
there's no jokes. There's no laughter.
Oh, my God.
It's civil, polite, and done.
It better be. And if you are not, you will learn very quickly that is, you are not going to last very long in that room.
No.
And you better hire a damn good lawyer. It is not what you know, it is who you hire.
And that's the thing. That is really true. And if you can't afford an attorney, there's some good resources to help you.
Yes.
But if you can, you should
Oh
always.
My God.
Because you can't undo a lot of these things.
Seriously, people, and I will testify to that myself as someone who got hurt badly in the legal system in Dallas, Texas. And I'm also here to testify that innocent people do get convicted of crimes they do not commit. It happens. I am one sitting right in front of you. It happens. And
And you told me about that story.
Oh,
that
absolutely.
was a really good story, actually. Thank you for sharing that.
You bet. And it's ugly when it happens. When you're not a criminal and you don't know what you're doing and you don't hire good attorneys. I mean, seriously, the legal system is just that. It is. We do not have a justice system in this country, folks. People watch too many movies. It is a legal system made up of laws run by lawyers. Period. I mean, that's it. That's how it is. It's just. It's what it is.
And it's a little more
there's nothing
pronounced.
wrong with that. I mean, that's just what it is.
And it's more pronounced in a state like ours, where it's so small, and we have a citizen legislature who meets every couple of years, and they have the ability to change the laws in regards to everything. And lawyers have a disproportionate amount of ability to affect laws that they'll be practicing under. It's really interesting. Lawyers will get together and push a law change or push a new law that may be to the public's benefit, may not, but it's certainly in their benefit often. Then they get to practice under it.
Right. So people,
Really
we the people think that the system is all about benefiting the people and all about helping the people. It's not.
Well, what they'll say is you certainly have the opportunity to go down to the legislature yourself, but you don't know what's going on. You have no idea. That's another role judges can play that I think gets overlooked is often when they're going to make a new law and they're thinking about changing an old one, they often look to people that are in the field for their opinion. And judges go down often to the legislature and sit, and they're asked questions by these legislators, and they give their input. And so they have an influence. They can't say, I am Judge White, and I want you to make this law. They can't propose it quite like that, but they can explain the current system. Because a lot of these family law is a niche anyway, and there are niches within family law, like juvenile dependency when your children are removed, that follow a whole different set of rules that nobody knows about. And so judges provide often that kind of expertise. And it's a role that I relish the opportunity to do that. And I think it's not enough credit as far as who you maybe want to elect. Is if you're terrible at getting your ideas across, if you're terrible at explaining things, you're not going to be much help as far as explaining anything to legislators or frankly the litigants in your courtroom. And so being able to communicate difficult subjects in a way people can understand I think is a huge benefit.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, again, it's another reason why people should look into who they are electing as family court judges and judges in general. And
certainly, definitely.
People just go and kind of go, oh, judges, oh, whatever, who are they? And they don't think about it because they think, oh, I'll never come in front of a judge, or I'll never. You don't know that.
Or they call their one lawyer they know.
Right.
Yeah, the one lawyer they know.
Yeah.
So.
And so your courts are very important, and the legal system it's critical. It's really critical. You never know when you're going to need it and when you're going to be a part of it. And
family law is a different realm too. It's different than criminal. Criminal, I think there's some, and the reason I think family law cases are so much more difficult is people in family court think that the judge is making a decision about who they are as a person.
Right.
You're a bad mother. You're a bad father. No, they're not. They're making a decision based on other factors, but they take it like that.
Right.
Whereas a guy steals a TV, deep down, if he stole the TV, he knows he stole a TV. Right. All right. Okay. So he takes his sentence and whatever. But family court, I don't care how poor of a parent you've been, almost without exception, you don't believe you are a bad parent. If I were to put a lie detector test on any person that's had a episode of bad parenting, and I won't go too far down that dark road, but I've always assumed they'd pass it. They think they're a great parent.
Of course.
And so
they
when
were
you're
doing
telling
the best
that,
they could.
absolutely,
at the time.
that's the thing.
Always.
And they absolutely are. And so they take a judge's decision as saying they're a bad person. It's not, and you've got to explain that to them. And again, that comes down to the explaining difficult things to people.
Of course.
You're not a bad mom.
No.
Just in this situation, I had to look at the law and the facts for this child, not for you. It's no testament to you, and you can certainly, the court will help you become a better parent. And I think those things are really important.
Right. I mean, if they were a bad person, they wouldn't be there in the court with the child trying to rectify the situation.
Right.
They'd be long gone.
They showed up. Life is showing up, right?
Right.
A good life, half of it showing up, or something like that. Yeah.
They wouldn't be there trying. They just wouldn't be there. So this isn't a moral judgment. This
It's
isn't
not.
about
It's not.
morality or I mean, this is about trying to fix the situation. This is about trying to make it better. This is about trying to move forward and improve. We're here to help. I mean, right? Isn't that what the family court
with the judge that will apply the facts to the law and explain in a way you can understand and make it reasonable? The final order is something you can do, and it's not a moral judgment.
Right. You are not, you, Lance White, are not a punitive judge. You're not there to punish these people. You're there to see what can be done to improve the situation.
And I think anybody that knows me agrees with that. And if you ever run for office, try not to read the comments on Facebook on your pages.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, somebody said, I think he'll be a punitive judge and put all the children in jail or something very close. Sir, I read this and I wanted to immediately message this person and say, but you got to leave that alone. You got to let them talk.
And what would even possess somebody to think such a thing? I mean, I can't imagine where they would even come up with such
people support you. Half the people that support you for reasons that aren't up to snuff.
Yeah.
I think, but half the people that hate you don't either.
They don't even know. I mean, right. That's crazy.
But sometimes they do.
Yeah,
it's
interesting.
And those are the ones I value.
Well, and it's that's very, very interesting. I'm flabbergasted, rendered speechless. Kelly Rush. Mark this moment. Kelly Rush has been rendered speechless. We've got to go to another break. We'll be back for the fourth and final segment on today's Rush Hour with Kelly Rush and Lance White, running for Family Court Judge District 11. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Dr. Dennis Patterson. I'm the founder and owner of Nevada Advanced Pain Specialists. At Nevada Advanced Pain Specialists, we take a comprehensive approach to treating patients with chronic pain in the greater Reno, Tahoe area. We believe in the biopsychosocial model. This means we use multiple disciplines such as massage therapy, physical therapy, behavioral health, and medical treatments to treat your chronic pain. A plan of care is tailor-made for each individual patient. We always recommend conservative care first, but offer minimally invasive treatments when necessary. We are your one-stop shop. If it hurts, we can help. We pride ourselves in providing passionate care and making you feel welcome and understood. We are located in Reno and in Sparks, so give us a call to schedule a new patient consult at 284-8650. Again, that's 284-8650. Or visit our website at nvadvancedpain.com. We hope you choose Nevada Advanced Pain Specialists to be your center for injury rehabilitation. At nvadvancedpain.com, 284-8650.
It's sweet. There's no place like it. And as we all know, it's where the heart is. Home. It matters. I'm Grant Brewer with Home at Last, a housing program of Nevada Rural Housing Authority. Join me and expert guests every Tuesday at 4 p.m. on KCKQ 1180 for Home Matters, a show dedicated to all things, well, home. Each week I chat with the industry's best. Lenders, real estate professionals, builders, insurance experts, home inspectors, developers, and specialized housing program experts. They grace the mic and we dig into today's hot housing topics. Tune in to Home Matters each Tuesday at 4 p.m. at 1180 a.m. KCKQ, the home of community radio. Or listen live and listen again online at americamatters.us. Join us.
Welcome to my house. It's my house.
I spend a lot of time in the garage, but even more time in the rain, sleet, and mud. In 95, I helped tow your moving trailer. In 05, I helped you get out of a ditch. Yeah, I know I'm a bit rusty, and sadly in 09, it was sparks from me, your handy chains, dragging behind your truck that accidentally started a wildfire.
Sparks from dragging chains can start a wildfire. Spark a change, not a wildfire. Visit SmokeyBear.com. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
This is America Matters Media on AM 1180 KCKQ, a Lotus broadcast station. The power of radio since 1967.
Are you shy and don't want to talk on the air? Text us your questions or comments to 775-237-2266. Now back to the show.
And welcome back to the fourth and final segment of today's Rush Hour. I'm Kelly Rush, and I'm here with Lance Clark White, running for Family Court Judge, District 11. And I just think that's amazing. I really do. I think you are, I'm just going to stick it out there, best candidate.
Thank you, God.
So much experience from childhood on up to work experience. A court master, lawyer, having been through the system, you know, from the ass end. I'm just going to say it.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
You know, and I don't mean to, you know, dig up old traumas and stuff, but can we go back to some of that? I mean, just, you know, I think people like to hear about, you know, stuff they can relate to,
right.
You know, from experiences they may have had from their past.
Well, you and I were talking earlier about how children process things.
Yeah,
and how
that's
they only
what I want to
realize
talk about.
What happened?
Maybe not
till later.
Yeah.
I had a lot of those, and actually, when I decided to talk about all these things, because I decided it would be relevant, and a lot of people told me that I needed to.
Tell me about when it got good.
Probably when I was 8 or 9, and my mom packed up everything we had in the back of one of those, it was like a red Monte Carlo, and we drove, it felt like forever, but it's about 15, 16 hours down to Utah, and she met my stepfather.
Yeah.
Who, he was a great guy, just rural guy, just very, you know, he just wasn't a big feeler, didn't, you know, tell you how you felt, but just a good, solid guy. And I hadn't had that. And I inherited a step family, which is fantastic.
How many other siblings?
I was an only. I have an older stepbrother, but he was a lot older than me, and we're still close. But I was an only, and so when I was little, after my grandmother died, I went to my mom. I spent a lot of time alone. Like, she'd leave me home in the trailer for a while, and I'd have to go sleep on the floor at her restaurant early in the morning. And one of the first times I went into temporary care, was I was home alone, and I have a fear of saran wrap. Scares the heck out of me. I don't even want to be around it. Because when I was a kid, I was home alone, and I was playing with the saran wrap, and you know the big long blade that runs along the way. I remember just slicing my thumb, looking at it, and the next thing I remember, the neighbor was looking over me, and I had blood all over me. Apparently, I had screamed, I passed out, he came over, and then guess who got involved?
Uh-oh.
But since that time, I just won't. If something needs to be saved,
right.
We're going to throw it out, or we're going to get
Tupperware.
Tupperware. Yeah, exactly. I hate saran wrap. Scares me.
I do too, only because it doesn't work.
Well,
it just doesn't stick. It doesn't. It's never worked right for me.
No, it doesn't work. And why do you need to have this blade that can cut, bone right there?
Right. Yeah. No, I've never been a fan of it either, and I'm glad for those Rubbermaid disposable. Yes. I use the crap out of those.
I will go on record now as a candidate. I do not endorse the use of saran wrap in any venue.
I don't like it either. That's funny. I'm an only child too, by the way.
See what I did there? I took something that just is traumatic.
Yeah.
And tried to some
no,
levity in
it
that.
just even the stuff they've come up with today, like the press and seal and all.
No, those don't ever work.
It's crap. It just is not good stuff. No.
Nope. And you don't need to have a blade there, a gigantic blade. I never.
No.
Yeah.
No. What's the difference between a good attorney and a great attorney?
Knowing the judge.
Ha!
Yeah.
Thanks, Eddie.
And I'm serious about that. It doesn't mean that they're buddies and they golf or they go shop for shoes. I mean, and I've had a lot of experience with the judges that are currently there, and they're fairly consistent, which is a great thing about a judge. The more consistent a judge, the better they are.
Mm-hmm.
And as a lawyer, if you can figure out how they rule in certain situations, you tell your client about this. And
being familiar with them, not knowing them personally, hanging out with them, knowing, but being familiar with their idiosyncrasies and
everyone says this. Whenever you get a judicial candidate, they say, I just call balls and strikes. I am the referee. I am the umpire. Okay. That's like if you hire someone to tile your bathroom and the first thing they say to you is, I will not steal your TV while I'm doing your floor. Well, of course not. I assume that's the baseline competency level, right? Okay. There's a lot of area in law, especially family law, that allows a judge not to just throw the hands up and go, yeehaw, but where there's discretion to make a decision. And so that's important. It's important to know how judges fall in certain areas of law. Even areas of law that look like they're just set in stone, there is interpretation. And I don't mean anything necessarily big, but even minor details. And so if you know how a judge has normally viewed that law, then you can tell your client about it and going in.
Absolutely.
Plus lawyers like that too. Like one of my opponents, actually both, haven't had a lot of experience in any kind of divorce or custody. And so it'll be interesting if either one of them wins. When these lawyers, some of them that have supported them, will be before them in a divorce matter, these lawyers will have no idea how they're going to rule. None. So what are you going to tell your client? Well, I don't know. Let's just wing it.
Let's wing it.
Yep. Until you build a resume of how you are. And I think I build a resume as a court master as being knowledgeable. I prepare. I read everything. And my temperament is cool hand Luke because, frankly, not a lot rattles me anymore.
Right.
And so that's a nice consistency for lawyers and litigants.
Absolutely. Well, I think that's a nice consistency for a court.
It is.
That's the way it should be. You know, court should not be despite our current, court TV and all these legal dramas and all this, again, I think this started, maybe 30 years ago with the inception of the legal drama on TV.
Right, and People's Court.
People's Court and those shows, but also the hour-long law dramas, Law and Order and all these shows have created this idea that court should be drama. And that's BS.
No, it should be dull, it should be efficient.
That's exactly right. And it should simply be a matter of deciding the law on the facts before it and the fair basis of the case before it and the legal the law based on the facts as decided. I don't know what I'm trying to say. You said it. The facts before it. But
taking the facts, apply the law. Done.
By the law.
I have little tricks though when I was a court master, so I wouldn't laugh, so I wouldn't cry. If I was going to laugh or cry, and sometimes there are some emotional things that go on.
And that's the key. There are big emotions.
Yes. And you can't start weeping or yelling or laughing if you're a judge. You need to be, and even as unflappable as I like to think I am, there have been occasions, and so I have a trick. I'm going to share a trick with you. Is what I would do is, and more often it's when something was just hilarious, but you didn't want to laugh, is what I would do is I'd grab a pen, and I'd take the sharp end, and I swear I did this at least 100 times, and I'd put it in my palm underneath the bench, and I'd start to push, and it'd really hurt. And as you're pushing that pen in your hand, you're not laughing anymore.
Oh, you have no idea. I mean, the palms of your hands and the bottoms of your feet have the most nerve endings anywhere in your body, with the exception of your genitals. Yes. And yeah, that's a good technique.
So that was a trick.
Yeah, and we see, like, again, we see on TV, judges laughing, lawyers laughing. I mean, and there are moments of levity where, sometimes you need that, but it's not funny. The law is, these cases that come up and things that come up, are not matters of, joy or unless you're adopting, maybe necessarily.
Or adoptions are joyful. Those are great ceremonies.
But it's not meant to be. It should be pretty much. Here's the law. Here's the decision. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Because litigants, I think, even if what you made a joke about was just hilarious and you're just hilarious as heck and lawyers laugh and they all laugh, someone is going to misinterpret that joke. They certainly will, because they're scared. They're not there to laugh. They're there to get through the darn thing.
Court can be scary.
Yes.
For most people, it's scary as hell because, somebody's losing something.
Yes, and a lot of judges forget that.
Right.
How scary it is. They forget that. They think, oh, I'm warm and no, you're not. You're scary as heck.
Right. You can say hell. There's certain. Well,
is there a list?
There is a list.
All right.
There's a list.
Well, I said every word on the list.
It's
on the break.
It's pretty. It's the standard ones you would think.
The George Carlin ones.
Yes.
Okay.
It's the George Carlin ones.
All right.
But these are matters. Court is serious. Let's put it that way. Court is serious, and we all know this. We as grown ass adults know that court is serious. We should be going there with that in mind, and but without fear. We should not have to fear. We should be prepared. And that's key. That's one key. We've only got a couple of seconds left, but that's one thing that you are adamant about.
Because the judge can't get in evidence for you. If you have evidence, it can be the best evidence in the world, but often if you don't get it in the correct way, I can't consider it. I had many cases before me, especially in domestic violence, where I know what they're trying to get in. Had they been able to get it in, it would change the case. I couldn't consider it. I have to rule for the other party, even though my heart was like, ugh, my head and my obligation as a judicial officer didn't allow me to.
Right. That's
huge.
One point that, yeah. So, Lance White, thank you so very much.
You're welcome.
Best of luck to you tomorrow. Tomorrow is primary day. Please, folks, get out and vote. You can still do it in person. 9th Street, the county registrar's office. You can look it up. If you don't know where that is, please get out and vote in your primary. Lance White, candidate for Family Court Judge, District 11. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night. See you tomorrow.
Good night.
1 in 3 adults in America have pre-diabetes, but most don't know it. To let people know it can be reversed before it becomes type 2 diabetes, professional basketball player Julius Randle is doing everything in reverse.
I'm only dunking with reverse windmills. I drove the whole way to practice in reverse. I don't recommend it. This move's called the reverse shuffle.